The Philippine Daily Inquirer would like to thank the following partners for making this live stream event possible: Philippine Alliance for Recycling and Material Sustainability, PARMS; Colgate-Palmolive Philippines; Mayora, Vono Trade and Marketing Services Corporation; Monde Nissin; Mondelez International; Nestle; Procter & Gamble; Unilever; and Universal Robina Corporation. We'd also like to thank Inquirer.net, Mega Mobile, and Inquirer Academy.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Inquirer Project Rebound webinar series presented by the Philippine Daily Inquirer, together with the Philippine Alliance for Recycling and Material Sustainability, or PARMS. My name is Dax Lucas, and with me is my boss, Tina Arceo Dumlao, the Inquirer business editor, who will be my co-moderator for this live stream event. The Philippine Daily Inquirer and its sister companies introduced Project Rebound in the desire to empower Filipinos amid these difficult times and do its part in helping our economy bounce back. We have been doing this by sharing insights from experts and success stories that are meant to inspire others to recover and thrive. This is why we are here today. To know more about Project Rebound, let's watch this video.
The COVID-19 pandemic and the resulting lockdowns have dealt a heavy blow on the economy. Millions of Filipinos were left jobless, thousands of companies were forced to close, and thousands more have had to downsize to ride out the downturn. But all is not lost. Almost a year into the crisis, the Philippines has begun its journey to recovery with stimulus measures and policies in place. Filipino companies, groups, and individuals have also shown their resilience and are slowly regaining their footing. The Philippine Daily Inquirer, along with its sister companies, seeks to do its share to help the Philippines bounce back from this unprecedented crisis by doing what it does best: tell the stories that empower the Filipino. Through Project Rebound, the Philippine Daily Inquirer will share expert insights and inspiring stories of how businesses can accelerate their recovery, how to retool and recalibrate to survive and even thrive amid the COVID-19 pandemic in collaboration with the government, civil society, and the private sector. With its 67 million strong reach across multimedia platforms, the Inquirer Group is indeed in a favorable position to inspire a rebound from the crisis. Together, we can and will overcome.
Hey, good morning. So, as part of the Project Rebound, this month, our topic is zero waste to nature, managing waste, preserving nature, and paving the way to a safe, sustainable future. January is Zero Waste Month in the Philippines, and also a new opportunity for all of us to act with knowledge and urgency when it comes to the waste we generate as people and as communities.
But before we introduce our guests, we would like to give an exclusive offer for all our viewers. You can get a free 30-day trial of the Philippine Daily Inquirer's digital edition called Inquirer Plus. We are flashing the details on your screen so you can see how to get this free trial. You can also visit shop.inquirer.com.ph to know more about Inquirer Plus. Now, it is time to introduce our guests for today's session. Our first speaker is Secretary Ramon M. Lopez. Mr. Lopez is the Secretary of the Department of Trade and Industry. His extensive government experience with the Presidential Management Staff, the DTI, and the National Economic and Development Authority in the early part of his career, followed by over 2 decades of extensive positions in a private corporation, provided him with a solid background on the macroeconomy, industry, and business that allowed him to adopt a more holistic perspective on trade and industry development. He is also a strong advocate for free entrepreneurship education. Secretary Lopez received several awards, such as the 2016 Nation Builders Award for Government Service and the Philippine Innovation Man of the Year Award in 2017. And most importantly, in 2018, he received from President Duterte the Order of Sikatuna with the rank of Datu, one of the highest honors one can receive in the Philippines. Good morning, Secretary Mon.
Hello, good morning po, Mr. Dax and Ms. Tina, and to all our co-panelists. Good morning. Good morning po sa lahat.
Okay, thank you, Secmon. I have to be formal with you today.
Okay.
Our next speaker is Representative Camille Villar. Camille is the youngest Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives and the representative of the Lone District of Las Piñas City. She filed proposals for bigger assistance to MSMEs, empowerment of women, and protection of children, as well as employment generation and community livelihood programs during the pandemic. She has authored 98 bills and resolutions, 2 of which are on extended producer responsibility, which advocates for a zero-waste lifestyle and seeks to minimize impacts on the environment for a sustainable future. Good morning, Representative Villar.
Good morning. Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here. To all my fellow panelists, good morning.
Thank you, Camille. Next, we have Mr. Crispian Lau. Crispian is the Vice Chair of the National Solid Waste Management Commission under the Office of the President and is the private sector representative for the recycling industry sector. Crispian is the founding president of the Philippine Alliance for Recycling and Material Sustainability, which brought together stakeholders and developed the Zero Waste to Nature Ambition 2030 roadmap for single-use products and packaging applications. He was an expert panel member of the study on breaking the plastic wave, a TAG member of the Global Review on Safer End of Engineered Life, a member of ISO/TC 61 for plastics, and a certified Verde professional. Good morning, Crispian.
Good morning. Good morning. Honored to be here with, of course, Congresswoman Camille and Secmon. Good morning to all.
Thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. So now, the Philippine economy has been on a slow rise the past years because of the pandemic. And while we're steadily on the road to recovery, one of the key things we also learned is that public health and economic growth go hand in hand with environmental care and sustainable development. That is why the call towards embracing the zero waste circular model is stronger and more important than ever.
So, let us welcome back Mr. Crispian or Chris Lau of Farms to tell us more about the Zero Waste to Nature roadmap developed by Farms and its FMCG partners. Chris, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Dax. Yes, allow me to present to you our Zero Waste to Nature Ambition 2030. Then Philippine Business for the Environment, to actually look into what industry can do and how we can contribute in addressing the serious problem on waste management. And this is as early as 2014. Then Farms evolved during those discussions, and we now have 12 of the biggest multinational companies with us as investing partners. And PARMS is now a multi-sectoral voice for the industry. We have the NGOs, civil society organizations, and the academe working with us in really finding, systemic solutions for the big challenge of waste management. And we start with the biggest challenge, which is plastic pollution. This evolved, and for now, we already have our zero waste to nature ambition and roadmap that had been developed. Of course, our objective had been and will always be to develop and implement holistic and comprehensive programs to increase resource recovery and reduce landfill dependence towards zero waste. Yes, we actually launched an ambitious declaration that none of our plastics, none of our waste, will end up in nature by 2030. Then we actually launched it in 2020, and it really took us some time for us to develop a roadmap that can address the problem in a systemic way. Now, our Zero Waste to Nature Ambition 2030 is a vision for a zero waste Philippines. No? And what we need to do is to address leakages to nature in the short term. And we can do that by designing for circularity. Now, we will start with plastics packaging. And the objective really is to go for better plastics, to go for less plastics, or even to no plastics at all. And we can do that by shifting to more recyclable packaging and proper labeling, and reduction of consumption, overall consumption through delivery systems. Now, of course, you need to finance the diversion, recovery and diversion. And this is a critical element where we are advocating for a credit system or credit scheme, EPR, or extended producer's responsibility, to support recovery models on the ground, specifically for the LGUs, and we can also do it through commercial establishments. You will actually note that there are a lot of drop-off points, and we encourage everyone to really support our drop-off centers, and we are hoping that we can populate this list even more going into the future. And of course, doing all of this will facilitate investment into infrastructure, the much needed infrastructure to recover, recycle, and treat waste. Now, they always say that you cannot address problems unless you do a measurement of how big the problem is. When we developed the Zero Waste to Nature roadmap, and with the help of market need data from Nielsen and the inputs of data from our member companies, were able to establish impact scenarios. No? On the left side, it is do nothing scenario for both rigid packaging and flexible packaging. And on the right side, you will see that fully implemented strategy scenario that is presented. And when we look at diversion roadmap over the next 10 years, you would see that by 2022, that's where we are now. We are advocating for looking at a diversion output-based EPR system that needs to come in place. And I'm happy to report that in the lower house, I believe that the version of Congresswoman Camille had already been passed, and in the Senate, it was interpolated yesterday. Now, we are looking for a trajectory or a roadmap that addresses the solution, and here are the options that are available to us, both short-term and investments that needs to be put in place. Now, again, what are the enabling policies to achieve the diversion rate roadmap? An EPR system that is fit for the Philippines, industry-led shift from low diversion value flexibles to high diversion value, recycling and labeling standards. We are working with the DTI through the Bureau of Product Standards for the development of standards for flexible packaging, and also economic incentives to drive investments and instruments to drive market uptake from waste. Now, if you look at the EPR, which is a critical element to see this through, we are advocating for a single PRO system, no? Where you have multiple diverters. The multiple diverters would be the LGUs, the social enterprise that are doing good work already on the ground. Then you have a certifying body that certifies the amount of footprint that is declared by a company, as well as the diverted waste by those on the ground, and of course, an accreditation body. Now, we are also appealing and advocating for a progressive but realistic increase on waste diversion targets of 10% annually. Can start with 10% and 10% year on year, and this would definitely match our roadmap. Now, what is the benefit to people, planet, as we recover through this pandemic? Now, doing this would enable us to look into 15.1 billion infrastructure investment for recycling and waste diversion facilities. And this would include resource recovery, other resource recovery options like fuel, like energy. Now, it will create 4,000 green jobs, and the EPR fees that we are looking at will actually support waste recovery in the amount of 5.2 billion additional income for the waste sector and barangay material recovery facilities. Now, the roadmap is really meant to leave no one behind, and the informal waste sector is a critical element. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share our Zero Waste to Nature Ambition 2030.
Wow. Thank you very much, Crispian. As your presentation shows, all of us will have a role in making sure that that Zero Waste to Nature program comes to fruition. Isn't it right, Dax?
Yeah, you bet. Making zero waste happen also means working hand in hand with those on the ground, as Chris clearly showed. Our local governments have spearheaded programs that not only manage the waste our cities produce, but also directly involve and engage the communities affected. In Alaminos, for example, they have created composting systems and sorting facilities, thus eliminating open burning and dumping of waste. Cities like Manila have also incentivized citizens who collect, sort, and turn over plastic waste, while other localities have begun partnering with businesses to turn their waste into street lane markers and construction materials.
Yeah, and in this zero waste program, obviously the packaging industry has a big role to play. They'll even have a bigger role by 2030, no? And here, members of the Philippine Alliance for Recycling and Material Sustainability feature some of their top sustainability programs.
Colgate-Palmolive boasts having 26 true zero-waste certified facilities across 16 countries globally. In the Philippines, they commit to provide Filipino homes with more sustainable products and packaging options. Early 2021, it launched Colgate Naturals, its first toothpaste in recyclable tubes. It also introduced its first eco-friendly toothbrush, made with a natural biodegradable bamboo handle. Its Palmolive soap cartons use paper with high recycled content that are non-laminated, and its Palmolive sachets are now made of a mono material, making it possible to reprocess. CPPI has launched its plastic waste collection program in partnership with organizations within and outside Metro Manila, with a vision of recovering the equivalent amount of plastic waste it generates in the market by 2025. By recovering plastic waste today, CPPI is helping to build a capability that will be needed to support recycling in the future. Monde Nissin Corporation, in its efforts to improve the well-being of people and the planet and create sustainable solutions for food security, is working to become a zero-waste business in less than 10 years. They are implementing projects to reduce plastic packaging use across their portfolio, shift to 100% recyclable packaging by 2025, and achieve zero waste to landfills from their plant operations. They have efforts to cut greenhouse gas emissions and transition to a low-carbon value chain led by product-centric innovations, as with their corn product, the first global meat alternative brand to achieve third-party certification of its carbon footprint figures from Carbon Trust. Acknowledging the various sustainability challenges in food, Mondelez Philippines has put forward a commitment to address several facets, starting with ensuring the use of high-quality and sustainably sourced ingredients from suppliers that follow recognized welfare standards. Among their goals is to reduce energy and water use and waste. By 2025, the company aims to have 100% of their packaging designed to be recycled and labeled with consumer recycling information. On this front, they have also worked with the Plastic Flamingo and other organizations to strengthen plastic recycling towards circularity. Vono has collaborated with companies and sustainable groups for initiatives that benefit not only their consumers, but city commuters as well. In partnership with Green Ants Builders, they upcycled shredded plastic into bollards, which have been donated to the city of Pasay to be used as markers to cordon off bicycle lanes. They are also working with the Plastic Credit Exchange for an incentive program for sari-sari store owners in the city of Manila. Under this program, residents and communities in Barangay 651, District 5, Port Area in the city of Manila will have access to a waste management system. PCX provided the micro-enterprise with a refurbished container van and manual baler, which will be used as storage for the collected plastic waste. Meanwhile, Vono aided in identifying a partner sari-sari store owner, and through PCX, educated them on the proper handling of amassed plastic and facilitating the monetization of plastic waste. The partner sari-sari store owner, in turn, collects neighborhood waste and ensures their proper disposal in the provided container van. Nestle Philippines has pursued groundbreaking initiatives in tackling plastic waste. Its most significant environmental milestone to date is achieving plastic neutrality as of August 2020, making it the country's first multinational FMCG to do so. This means that the company is recovering the equivalent amount of plastic packaging that it puts out in the market, having collected and diverted from nature close to 36 million kilos of plastic waste as of November 2021 with support from its partners. It also pioneered the shift from plastic to paper straws in locally manufactured, ready-to-drink products, the rollout of solid waste management modules in public schools nationwide, reaching over 10 million students under its Nestle Wellness Campus program, and the use of boat and motorcycle transport to collect plastic waste in selected areas lacking waste management infrastructure. P&G has declared its Ambition 2030 commitments that aim to make responsible consumption possible for consumers through interventions across brand innovations, supply chain operations, societal partnerships, and its employees. 100% of their plants are certified zero manufacturing waste to landfill, so now they are investing in reducing post-consumer waste through packaging design innovation and recovery programs. P&G aims for 100% of its packaging recyclable or reusable by 2030 and will cut the use of virgin plastic in packaging by 50%. They have already eliminated virgin plastic overwrap packaging on Safeguard multi-packs, which avoids 8,500 kilometers worth of plastic waste yearly, equivalent to 1,000 times the length of the Boracay shoreline, while its Herbal Essences BioRenew collection also uses post-consumer recycled PCR material for its bottle packaging. P&G and World Vision's Pag-asa sa Basura program collected over 3.2 million sachet waste and hundreds of thousands of plastic bottles that have been upcycled into thousands of plastic school chairs with safety dividers and donated back to its partner schools. Unilever Philippines is working to reduce plastic pollution through goals launched 2017 and 2019 that are focused on an absolute reduction of virgin plastic used and replacing this with recycled material, adopting recyclable, reusable, and compostable packaging, and collecting more plastic than they sell, all by 2025. Predating all these recent commitments is the company's long-standing Mrs. Walastic plastic collection program, started in 2012 and going strong amidst changes brought on by the pandemic. To date, Mrs. Walastic has engaged over 100,000 households in over 400 barangays across the country through the effective Collect, Kilo, Kita waste incentive approach, resulting in over 4.6 thousand metric tons of collected flexible plastic waste, such as sachets and pouches of any brand. This is achieved through strong partnerships with cities of Manila, Pasig, plus all involved barangays, coupled with the Linis Ganda junk shop network and co-processing partners to ensure proper diversion away from nature. Universal Robina Corporation has committed to several initiatives that contribute to a sustainable environment, aligned with one of its core strategies of building a people and planet-friendly culture. In the Philippines, the company intensified its efforts to convert waste into something useful through co-processing and production of refuse-derived fuel (RDF) initiatives in partnership with cement plants. URC's Spyland office has been given 3 Rs, 3 Rs Plus, and Zero Waste Achievement Awards, which recognize companies that use efficient waste and management systems and whose systems are aligned with holistic sustainable goals. URC has also been installing solar panels in its facilities here and abroad, in line with its goal to optimize its energy use. As part of its sustainability roadmap, the company has been implementing programs to substantially improve its water use and reduce its packaging footprint by making its packaging recycle ready.
Fantastic. That was a very comprehensive list of what our large corporate partners have been doing at their end for sustainability purposes. Now let's move forward on our road to zero waste, and let's start talking about where exactly we can all begin. I'd like to ask Secretary Lopez. I know you have a lot on your plate nowadays, but could you tell us what is one key strategy your department is looking at to help manage and reduce our country's waste footprint, especially among the SMEs, I suppose?
Okay. Sige. Good morning again, Dax and Tina and our co-panelists. Of course, the key strategy of DTI on sustainability is basically to promote green industries. No? I'll go into the circular economy system later. But as far as the DTI is concerned, especially as we give out fiscal incentives to eligible industries that we want to promote, strategic industries that we want to have in the country, we make use of mga incentives, right? Like those listed in the BOI Investment Priorities Plan, and now under the Strategic Investment Priorities Plan, under the CREATE, fiscal incentives are being given. And this is basically right now focused on several strategic industries. And one of these would be those pertaining to sustainability, so mga green industries. And nowadays, after the COP26, we're hearing much more programs, especially or specifically also on green financing support, developing more of this green financing. Like recently, we've heard of the ADB energy transition mechanism that will eventually prepare for financing of green projects, green energy, and transitioning coal power plants and retiring them earlier than originally intended, and converting the proceeds as well as new investments into developing clean energy. Of course, there is also financing and providing incentives for projects that will apply green technology in their in their supply chain. So from the procurement of the right materials, we've heard about producing with less, no? Using more environment-friendly materials, using green energy, the renewable energy, and into the packaging. We've heard of more friendly packaging, recycled or fruit-based compost, non-bio or biodegradable plastics and the like. Also, trying to um, intervene or promote the use right now of, let's say, more EV electric vehicles, let's say, in the distribution. So parang you're addressing the entire, trying to promote that the entire supply chain can adopt all these green practices. No? And that mindset of producing more with less, let's say less water, less energy. And of course, what we've been hearing, all these efforts of the circular economy, in particular, focus on the FMCG. So from the collection, recycling, upcycling, that can form part of the sustainable supply chain, and these are being done as we saw in the video. So your movement towards green supply chain can be probably the medium term, but what we're seeing now is more of the circular economy. And eventually down the road, what we want to have is a sustainable supply chain that will make use of green energy and green systems. At the same time, part of the incentives and or industries that we are giving incentives to would be those pertaining to green industries. So when we say green industries, so this would be the electric vehicle, and the ecosystem of the electric vehicle. You know, yung mga batteries, the manufacturing of e-vehicle and the parts thereof, charging stations, and of course, encouraging investors to invest in these green industries. Right now, we have about 45 industry players already, and in this EV ecosystem, EV and industry, about 14 to 15,000 Filipinos employed already on the parts manufacturing, including the traders and the service providers. Related to this would be, of course, promoting mga green metals. So the nickel, the cobalt, the copper, which are all being used in the development of batteries and storage system. Connected ito, of course, in the electric vehicle ecosystem. And other industries that are being supported, as we all know already, the green energy, more non-coal, the solar, wind, hydro, geothermal. And right now, studies are being made on the small nuclear power plant. So or maybe I'll stop there, but there are other factors. Those are the push factor, the incentives. But maybe later I can discuss also that there is also a growing demand or at a pull factor, which means the market mismo, they are now looking for suppliers and buying from suppliers that are applying green technology. So, for example, the data centers, they are required to use renewable energy by their clients. Now, so all this, of course, will change behavior and transform them into applying more renewable energy in their operations. And there are other market pool of market forces that are now, trending even in the EU and, other parts of the world. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sekmon. Very enlightening. I like that part about producing more with less. I think that pretty much encapsulates the entire webinar that we have today. That is the goal. But for a little bit of background, I'll go back to Chris. The program started with the FMCG, and I just wanted to know why it started out that way. Especially, probably one of the reasons is that I've always been singled out, for the Philippines has always been ranked there for having the world's worst plastic pollution. So is that the reason why this came about? And then, if they're the problem, are they now the solution? And where are we now in that fight?
Yeah, thank you, Tina. No? You would see from the presentation that I gave that we started even before the issue um, became big in
Mhm.
2015 after the Jambek report. Many of the companies have done many initiatives. No? We regard those as pilots that leads into a holistic approach to the whole problem. You would see that while a lot of companies are doing their share in developing systems, no, we created that platform so that we can share information amongst each other. You have to understand that the brand owners are competitors amongst themselves. But then here we have a platform that we share the information. We try to translate global initiatives into local actions, and we want also to keep the economy within the Philippines. No? We don't want to push for sustainable packaging where we will import everything and forget about the local industry. So I think yes, that it's not an easy task to do. It's a big global problem. It's a big local problem, but I can see ourselves in the right direction, and with the commitment of the brand owners that we lead, and then handhold the medium and small enterprises and the MSMEs. I'm sure that we would be able to find solutions. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take everybody's contribution. Everybody has to do its own share. And I'm so happy that we have the legislative, we have the executive, we have the industry, and we have the civil society, and the consumers are very important also. We cannot achieve this alone, no? And we need to be together and help each other towards our goal really of zero waste in nature.
Tina, I
So
have a
mostly,
short
yeah,
comment.
go ahead. Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah,
Secretary.
Go,
yeah.
Sec.
Kasi I like the approach of starting with the FMCG, especially the partners that the Mr. Crispian has started. No, his group has started. And right now, sabi ko nga, the immediate approach, dahil wala pa, you can't get easily into green technologies and all that, but at least the FMCG can start with their circular economy models and even adopt outright the alternative, let's say, materials, modern technologies in their production processes that will produce more with less. And let's say with less materials, with less water, with less power.
Mhm.
And why FMCG? It's because their products have the widest reach, consumer use, it goes to the community, and it has the fastest velocity and frequency of use, and thus can have the strongest and I would say fast influence in consumer behavior. So parang papalitan ka agad ang mindset ng ating mga kababayan. Their influence is bigger, and that can really bring significant change and impact. Yun pa. And then of course, if they are multinationals, they can import the technology. No? The technologies are shared, and they can really make use of all these new technologies towards a green system. Thank you.
Fantastic. So we know what FMCGs need to do. We know what we're doing. But the next question is for Representative Villar. As part of the Committee for Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprise Development. So there are several questions here, Camille. How can MSMEs take part in this initiative of sustainability? What role are they playing? And indulge me a bit, since MSMEs also make up for the majority of businesses in the country, how can we encourage them to include sustainability and zero waste strategies as a priority for their growing businesses? And how can we support them going forward? Take it away, ma'am.
Thank you, Dax. And again, good morning to everyone who's listening and to my fellow panelists. Here for me to be here. So you were talking about MSMEs. Actually, first, you're correct in that the MSMEs really do play a crucial role in this program because they do compose almost 99% of all of our business enterprises here in the Philippines. So their participation in this endeavor is very, very important. We already have policies in place and programs in place for our FMCGs and large corporations, as were previously discussed by Crispian and Secretary Mon. And even in the House of Representatives, the bill that I have filed and that we are working on, which is the EPR bill, the Environmental Producers Responsibility Bill in waste management, and of course improving the responsibility of producers in the design, collection, reuse, recycling, and disposal of their products. This actually extends from the large corporations until the medium corporations. So we believe that we have come up with a solution that that makes all the stakeholders happy, and is something that we are confident we can execute in that time frame. Ngayon, when we look at the small and micro enterprises, I think here we really need to start in terms of awareness, because it's similar to having to implementing this kind of zero waste program in our LGUs or communities. So we have to keep it simple. First and foremost, there's awareness. So we need to really inform our small and micro entrepreneurs about the effect of plastic use and the positive effect of this endeavor, so that they can be a part of it. And we really need to share the technology with them. There are ways to recycle and reuse that do not require a lot of capital, that they can do in their own small way. So these are the things that we need to educate our entrepreneurs about, so that they can do it. Like, for example, when you look at our community in Las Piñas, we actually do waste segregation. So the paper we use and we recycle it, and there are companies that can do that, whether it's in a small scale or in a much larger scale. Our plastic in our communities, we actually collect that, and we have a factory that converts them into school chairs. So it doesn't, whether your plastic consumption is small or large, you can go to these centers and you can actually turn your plastic into something tangible. So it's really about, one, educating our small and micro entrepreneurs about the negative effects of not recycling and the positive effects, and also teaching them the technology that will enable them to participate in this program that's not expensive or difficult to execute. And then later on, of course, we want to give incentives. So we should be able to reward those companies that really that really imbibe this sort of endeavor or solution. Also encourage creativity. And one of the nice things is really what we call upcycling, or converting plastic goods into something creative or even more useful. So we should give incentives to these kinds of enterprises, and really in our own way support them. And later on, because we have already started with institutionalizing the program for the large corporations, we will look into policies that will also help small and medium small and micro entrepreneurs in taking part in this endeavor.
Hey, thank you, Camille. Actually, just a follow-up to what you said. No, do you think that there is really a need for new legislation, or do we have more than enough legislation that's just not being enacted?
I think actually we have good, solid legislation for the FMCGs, the large and the medium enterprises. It is something that a lot of the stakeholders have collaborated on. We have gotten technology from abroad. Again, like what Secmon was mentioning, the advantage of working with FMCGs is that they can actually bring in the technology that is being used in other parts of the world, and we can try to implement it in the Philippines. So we have started. We have made a good start in this program, but later on, I think we can extend, these policies to cover more different sectors and also different products as well, because all of us know that there's really a push for sustainability. It's such a large ecosystem that needs to be addressed, and not just by businesses but even our communities. And I think it really requires the collaboration and participation of many sectors, young and old, big and small, government and private.
Thank you very much, Dax.
Fantastic. Okay. The next question is for everyone, but very briefly, please, the three of you. In what ways do you think is the best way to motivate consumers and other businesses to join this road to zero waste? Some may find it intimidating. Some think the initiative is too expensive. What are your thoughts on this? Let's go to Secretary Mon, Chris, and then Camille.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So, well, offhand, I agree with what Deputy Speaker Camille mentioned, that you have to involve the community, the MSMEs, and all the part, because again, practically all companies are MSMEs, 99.4%. So, involving them will really make a difference. Will really move the needle. But the basic, I guess, incentive. Not only fiscal incentives, the basic incentive is to make it economically rewarding to all the participants in the so-called value chain, renewable, circular economy value chain. Now, so far, there's money for all, like from the collectors and the sorters, the trading of this, and bringing it to where it will be processed, recycled, and all that. So, and there's a market again for that final output, the recycled product. So there's a ready market. So it has to be economically rewarding for all of those in the chain. There has to be, of course, I guess aside from the incentives, yung more of financing support. And right now, I mentioned that there's a growing trend, and because of the awareness, consciousness, and the importance of this issue, especially right after the COP26, and awareness has really built up. More of this green financing came about, and really we now hear many of even the banks, financial sector, ADB, they're now all talking about green financing. We've heard also our Secretary of Finance talk about this, and it's really important to really have the system, the financial system, supporting this endeavor. And that can mean for those existing players and working on the circular economy, or for them to adopt really the green technologies, either new green, I mentioned kanina, the green industries, green metals, renewable energies, and all that, the battery ecosystem, EV ecosystem, and the like. So all this would be very important. Then another thing is that because of the practicality, talking about MSMEs, for them to get convinced, it must also make sense. As mentioned, merong economic benefit, and for instance, yung mga easy to digest, maybe if everyone, the MSMEs, can start looking into solar energy as their source, small operation, put solar. At least you reduce your dependence on the regular electricity, coal-based electricity, and work on your own. Try to be so-called independent in the same way that electric vehicles are sort of independent. They have their own batteries in the car. So you can think of your operation, small operation, having a small solar system that can at least run your operation. That would be a good start. There are different models right now for small solar infrastructure. And of course, you can scale it up. If there are many SMEs in the area, we can also talk of a solar infrastructure grid. Just like what some projects that we see in some provinces, I think Paul, they're trying to set up mga 2 megawatt community solar investment projects. No? So yung solar para sa bayan, that at least it can operate the mga water pump, storage, distribution, and your requirement in your small operation. So I guess those are the parang practical start ng mga ganitong projects. Thank you.
Fantastic. Chris, not everyone can afford the kind of program you outlined, or the very comprehensive program you outlined earlier. So what can they do?
Well, individually, we might not be able to afford it, but collectively, I am sure that we can find the resources necessary to pull this through. No? As a response to your question also, education is key. Education is key for us to really instill in our youth and in our consumers and the general population the importance of managing your waste. Sometimes when you look at it in the holistic perspective, it's not about plastics. No, if the theme really is zero waste to nature, we will start with the most problematic, that's plastic. But we have to be very careful that while we transition away from plastics, which is the problem of the day, we do not transition it to a bigger problem for the future, right? And it is also important for us as we recover through this pandemic to keep it within the economy. Meaning, let's look at circular models that can happen locally. And I believe that the opportunity is there for inclusive growth amongst all sectors. When we design packaging, when the bigger companies would design packaging and develop locally, this packaging can now be made available even to MSMEs. And that's the beauty of it. No? And then, of course, the infrastructure needs to be put in place. When we shift packaging to alternatives, we have to ensure that the alternative does not affect our food resource, nor should it increase the volume of waste that needs to manage at the end of its life. So education is key. So again, it's a balance. No? As we develop the infrastructure, we redesign components where we can shift the patterns on designing. Then it would meet, eventually it would meet. It's sometimes it's easy, when you look at it now, it's not as simple as it looks, but it is doable. And I think with the commitment of the industry here, and from not only the FMCGs now, we're talking to different industry sectors, the plastics industry, the paper industry, the glass industry. We believe that we would be able to come up with a solution. But again, key is consumers, key is consumer discipline, and also participation and collaboration among all stakeholders across the value chain is really important for us to achieve our goal for zero waste to nature.
Camille, let me reframe that question slightly for you. A lot of entrepreneurs are concerned with day-to-day survival. How do you convince them that something as lofty as sustainability and zero waste is something they should invest time and effort into?
Actually, when creating legislation like the EPR bill, that was something that was brought to light by businesses that we were coming from a pandemic. We're slowly trying to rebuild our economy, and again, the topic of the cost, right? So as you were discussing earlier, people do sometimes get intimidated by the word sustainability and buy these kinds of programs because they feel that it is expensive. So I agree with Crispian and I agree with Segmon that first and foremost, there's really a need for awareness. That actually not all the solutions are expensive. You know, I previously touched on this in my previous answer that in Las Piñas we have some efforts, you know, we do waste segregation and we reuse our waste, not just plastic, but even our compost, paper. We sell glass to the junk shops, etc. So there are ways to do it that are not necessarily expensive, but we need to start the awareness early. Not, I believe that we need to teach people about sustainability and the positive effects of zero waste programs, not just when they're doing a business, but even when they're young. So we need to teach these kinds of practices or institutionalize it in our curriculum or within our community so that kids at a young age can become aware, so that as they grow up, it becomes a part of our lifestyle and not necessarily an endeavor. There is really the whole value chain is really big, as Crispian mentioned, and there are a lot of things that we need to do that needs to be done, and a lot of things that we can do, but perhaps for consumers we really need to start simple, something that is easy to understand for them, something that is close to them. And so we need to start with awareness, and then of course programs, which I believe that the government can also help. Like for example, in the LGUs, we can create these kinds of facilities that will enable smaller enterprises and even individuals to reproduce or recycle their products. So it doesn't have to be in a big scale the way FMCGs do. So we do need to start young, and awareness is really key. And then also incentivize, and yes, we give financial incentives, but other kinds of recognition to encourage even small and micro entrepreneurs to go towards this path. And it really requires creativity on the part of everyone to be able to create sustainable products and to take part in sustainable programs. So yeah, and I think one of the biggest barriers really is awareness about how living a sustainable lifestyle. This zero waste program is not necessarily a huge endeavor and not necessarily an expensive endeavor. We just have to consider the concerns of all parties and come up with practical solutions and solutions that can be implemented. Sometimes when we have policies, while they're very comprehensive and very good, in order for them to be properly implemented, we have to keep in mind what is doable for a majority of the people and the public.
Thank you, Camille, and to Sekmon and to Crispian. A lively discussion before lunch. Thank you all. And to our viewers, if you're watching and you have questions, feel free. And we'll see if our panelists can answer them later for you. And before we continue with the next part of the program, we'll just have a quick break. So stay tuned for more.
The Philippine Daily Inquirer would like to thank the following partners for making this live stream event possible. Philippine Alliance for Recycling and Material Sustainability, PARMS. Colgate-Palmolive Philippines. Mayora, Vono Trade and Marketing Services Corporation. Monde Nissin. Mondelez International. Nestle. Procter & Gamble. Unilever. And Universal Robina Corporation. We'd also like to thank Inquirer.net, Mega Mobile, and Inquirer Academy.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again for tuning in to the Inquire Project Rebound webinar series presented by the Philippine Daily Inquirer. Moving on to the last part of our online discussion, we have some questions waiting to be answered. Okay, for Chris and possibly Camille a little later on, part of the things that PARMS wants to accomplish with its Zero Waste 2030 framework is to strengthen the growth of green industries. So can you share more about the current state of our green industry sector? What kind of green jobs can we expect from this initiative?
I think when you look at it, there's still a gap between the infrastructure for us to manage our waste properly. And this is still a big challenge at the LGU level. And what we are opening up now with the Zero Waste to Nature roadmap is an opportunity for private sector investments or for private sector to participate in waste management. No? And I believe that complementing the resources of government to private sector initiatives and presenting a level playing field for all gives us the opportunity for private sector to really support our government in developing that infrastructure. You know, it's not going to be easy for us to hit a very ambitious target. No, you will see that Zero Waste to Nature 2030. It's very, very ambitious. But what we really need to have a graduated, reasonable timings, and the incentives are really key. Sekmon mentioned about the incentives. The incentives are critical for us to achieve those goals. No? And more importantly, I know that Congress DS Camille has penalty provisions. No? We are hoping that as we venture into this, you know, yes, we will accept penalties for shortfalls, for failure to achieve targets that are set by government. So the message is reasonable targets and reasonable penalties. No? Because it's what we're going to do is going to change the way things are done. Infrastructure is not easy to develop. It's not going to happen overnight. But what is more important is reasonable penalties so that we don't go out of business. Yun lang po.
Camille, you said earlier that Las Piñas has some kind of baseline infrastructure at the local government level. for recycling and all these. Could you share some thoughts about that?
Yes, actually, it was a program that was spearheaded by my mother, Senator Cynthia Villar, when she was a representative of Las Piñas, because, she is really a staunch environmentalist. And long before I became a representative, she really saw the significance of it. So actually, currently, only about 30% of Las Piñas' total waste is brought to landfills, because we have found different ways to reuse our others. So our community, we do waste segregation. So our paper waste we send to paper recycling facilities, which has various uses. Throughout the Philippines, we don't even have to export. So that's paper recycling. Our plastic wastes we collect, and then we have a factory that produces school chairs. As you know, there are many different ways in which we can reuse plastic. There are artistic ways we can turn them into different products, works of art. But in Las Piñas, my mother felt that turning them into something that can be used again, which we actually give to different parts of the Philippines, would be very, very good. So there is a cost for it, but the benefits of being able to give school chairs to schools has far outweigh that, and it's not a big cost. And the facility, these plastic chair factories are, they're not that expensive, and they were something that were done, that we helped the community with. And then we have our soiled waste, which are our compost, which we turn into organic fertilizer that my mom then thought she would distribute, not just in Las Piñas, but in other parts of the Philippines to promote urban gardening. So with that, and then of course you have glass bottles and other waste that can be sold to junk shops and the like. So with that, we have significantly reduced the money that is spent into bringing waste into our landfills, and at the same time, the funds that are normally used can be allocated to other social services like education, infrastructure, health. So that is something that we are practicing in our own way in Las Piñas. And, it's something, and to go further, it is something that you really need to include in the lifestyle of your citizens, not just when they are old, but also for our students, having simple programs like, having them pick up plastic, bring it to school, bring it to the factory, even if it's just one plastic, it makes children or young people aware of contributions that they can make. We do a lot of cleanup activities in, the Las Piñas Parañaque Wetland Park. So, young or old, whether our businesses are small or big, we can all participate in this endeavor. And it will really require all of our efforts, and it is very doable. And I agree with what Crispian says, that in terms of our policy, again, what is important is doable solutions. And with regards to the penalties, yes, we have put penalties, but that is only to encourage people to move faster rather than, wanting to really punish them. But, it's really there for encouragement.
Okay. Corollary to that, Camille, and also taking off from a question from one of our viewers here. Like, for example, your experience there in Las Piñas, how do you think legislation, or what kind of legislation do you think we need to be able to scale up that program, let's say in Las Piñas, to a national level, so that it will be implemented on a larger scale and it will benefit more consumers? Like, if there's one thing you could do, what can you do?
Yes, we can do. We can create legislation again that need not be as comprehensive and as big and as an endeavor as the EPR and harms, but on small scales, like really institutionalizing, really institutionalizing these kinds of programs in school, making it making it a part of the curriculum, which we have done for other programs, so we can start with something as simple as that and really encourage community participation. So again, yes, we do have some very good and advanced solutions that we are learning and that we are taking part in, but we can all contribute in our own small and simple ways. So there are a lot. So, in terms of education, we can include that in the curriculum. In terms of, these kinds of programs, we can actually make them more official, so that you can have the different people, you have the different stakeholders and citizens of the community to participate in it. And again, so it should be something that is easy to understand and easy to implement also, and something that is close to the hearts of the general public so that they will respond to it.
Thank you, Dax.
Well, look at that. Time flies.
I know, right?
There is so much more we want to discuss. But at this time, we are running short on time. And so, once again, we would like to thank our speakers for their valuable insights, sharing them with us. We will be ending this online discussion with a closing message from our guests. And let's start with Secretary Mon. Secretary, take it away.
Ay, sige, thank you. Closing na pala, no? So, great discussion. I'm hearing from our panelists, and ang galing, very inspiring. Actually, taking it off from the trade and industry perspective, I know it's usually push approach, giving incentives, developing this and that, renewables and all that. But maganda talaga if we also focus on the pull. I mean, talking about we want to show, or maybe this is really part of the awareness that's been being discussed, raising the consciousness of the Filipinos, I mean the people in general, consciousness on the beauty also, no, of patronizing green products. We want to really have that state na green business is good business. Sabi ko nga kanina, it has to be economically rewarding. And for it to be economically rewarding, there has to be a demand for it. So awareness, para later on, yun na yung hanapin ng tao. There'll be a market preference and there will be a demand for it. For example, if one sees a nice packaging, di ba the one that we see now, yung mga recycled, brown, simple prints, parang social pa yung dating. And people prefer that. When you give out gifts, pag nakatanggap ka na, wow, medyo social. Pero actually, that's producing more with less. And very, very simple. Recycled pa. Hindi nila alam. But ang ganda ng dating. So, it has to be very nice. It has to be one that will also attract the consumers. Hindi pwedeng recycled tas pangit yung produkto. So, para magkaroon ng market preference. At pag may market preference, may demand. When there's demand, it's financially rewarding to the one selling it or to the one using it. So that has to be created. And so the awareness is important there, but at the same time, producing products that are still quality and yet green and environment friendly. The other thing is even consumers can find rewards for it. What do I mean? For example, right now we're talking of alternative packaging. So hindi lang yung circular, kung hindi starting now with less plastic. So ano to? Ito yung mga dinidevelop ngayon ng multinationals, yung bulk selling and then refilling. So in-start na yan, nag-pilot test sa mga sari-sari stores. They're trying to address certain issues lang, but I think there are solutions to it, like making sure sealed yung bulk para hindi siya i-dilute nung sari-sari store seller. Things like those, no? Or quality is still preserved. Hindi matamper yung standards or yung formulation and quality. But the bulk system and refilling system is really good. And it's cheaper for the manufacturer, and it should be cheaper for the buyer. So it has to be rewarding again to the consumer na, uy, makatipid ako dito by refilling. I'm getting my, let's say, shampoo without the packaging cost. So maybe less 4 pesos. Makatipid na ako and may benefit ito sa akin. So it's greener and at the same time cheaper. So there will be market preference also on that. So ito yung ibig natin sabihin na green business is good business. So yun lang. Thank you, and thanks again for inviting me here. Very, very good discussion. Thank you.
Tina,
Yeah.
I think we should help Secretary Mon lobby for more fiscal incentives.
Oo nga. There's Camille, oh. She can do that for you.
No, frankly, Dax, lahat ito, they're part of the tier 3 of the SITP. In fact, the longest income tax period, holiday period. No? Kasi preferred talaga tong mga sustainable business models. And we're really promoting and supporting it.
That's great. Well, corollary to that again, to Camille, how about you for the last, for your closing message? Response to Secmons?
Yes, actually, first and foremost, I just wanted to thank you for letting me be a part of this very fruitful and dynamic discussion about the very important topic, of course, of this sustainable future for us, managing waste and preserving nature. So this is something that, my mom has sort of inculturated in me that is very, very relevant and something that we are very, very passionate about. And of course, it's such an honor for me to be a panelist here with Secmon, who's really doing so much for green business and for our MSMEs and our trade as a whole. So thank you. And of course, to Mr. Crispian Lau for, helping us, even me myself as a lawmaker. I learned so much from my interface with you about the significance of this endeavor and the kind of technology that's available and the solutions that we can have. And I also want to say thank you because everyone here has been very practical, and everyone here is really has been committed to this sustainable future for all of us and has really is committed to that. So we have come up with really good solutions that I feel makes everyone happy and addresses the concerns of all the stakeholders. So in the end, I just want to say that this is such an important endeavor, and I am just very honored to be a part of it. And I'm very committed to creating legislation as a lawmaker that can help this program and also make it easier for citizens and entrepreneurs to participate and be a part of it. So as you were saying, when we create legislation, we don't want to make it hard for the business, for the entrepreneurs or for the people. We just want to begin these programs already. Of course, it's not going to be perfect. We know that there are going to be birth pains, but we want to learn together so that we can create a solution that's better and better for all of us. And with SecMon, we'd like to thank you for all the incentives that you're giving to our green enterprises. But actually, another thing that I wanted to mention is, aside from the fiscal incentives or the financial rewards that are given to entrepreneurs, around the world, you will see that there is an increased focus on sustainability. So when investors or when other people look at the performance of the company, more and more you will see that it has become less about the revenues and the income, but also about their efforts towards sustainability. And I think that we should continue this, that when we look at the company, it shouldn't just be about, the bottom line or how much, their income is, but it should also be about the other benefits that they provide, meaning the jobs that they provide, the livelihood that they provide, and their impact to the environment and their positive impact to their environment. So when we see a company, when we look at it and when we say, oh, this is a very well-run company, it's not just about what it earns, but also what it's doing for our sustainability. And that's one way in which we can also look at and evaluate the performance of our companies, And on our part, I will also take part in helping with this. I'm very excited to take part in helping with this awareness we can extend for the community, for the youth, and even for our entrepreneurs. So thank you for letting me be a part of this.
Thank you, birthday girl.
Happy birthday.
Last but not the least, on to the very daunting program presented by Cristian Lau. Chris, take it away.
Yeah, well, it took us actually about 5 years, 6 years to get to where we are now. But the real work is just about to start. You know, we have done some initial steps, pilots, models, but it is now important for us and I reach out to all stakeholders to join us in this endeavor towards our zero waste to nature roadmap towards 2030. The beauty of developing a roadmap that actually feeds into the greening of the industry roadmap as well as the national plan of action on marine litter is that it defines what we need to do and how we will achieve those goals towards 2030. Mas maaga kami ng konti. We're a bit earlier than plan of action for marine litter. Marine litter is 2040. We decided to do it 2030 because, again, the environment can't wait. We will continue to work with the legislative. Thank you for keeping that door open, DS Camille. And we'll definitely take you up to it. Again, sound policies would really steer us into the right direction. And of course, to the executive department, SECMON, we had been working very closely with the DTI. And again, we cannot do it alone. Government cannot do it alone. Industry cannot do it alone. It all starts with a commitment from each and every one of us. It starts with a discipline. Again, we always say that the choices, the people make choices, and we have to teach them or guide them towards responsible choice. All of our choices comes with a responsibility, and industry is stepping up right now, and we want to make this inclusive. And again, if with all the support that we have now, and of course, mass media, you are an important role for us to impart what we want to do and how we can do it. And together, definitely we will make a difference. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And with that, we end our webinar today. And I think all of us here are going to have our lunch with a better understanding of what change we can do ourselves. No? So thank you, Crispian. I learned a lot. I'm sure everybody who's tuned in learned a lot as well. To DS Camille, happy birthday, and thank you for the time that you shared with us. Secretary Mon, I truly appreciate your being here. Thank you to all of our guests for sharing your time, very important. And thank you again for being part of the Inquirer Project Rebound webinar series presented by the Philippine Daily Inquirer and the Philippine Alliance for Recycling and Material Sustainability. I can commit, at least for the business section, for Dax and myself, that we will help in this very, I think our survival depends on it, don't you think? So thank you again, and until the next time.
Thank you so much to our viewers. We'd like to thank Inquirer.net, Mega Mobile, and Inquirer Academy to continue reading the Philippine Daily Inquirer for authoritative news and features. Once again, I am Dax Lucas of Inquirer Business.
And I'm Tina Arceo Dumlao, also of the Inquirer Business section. Thank you all for joining us and enjoy the rest of your day. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you.
The Philippine Daily Inquirer would like to thank the following partners for making this live stream event possible. Philippine Alliance for Recycling and Material Sustainability, PARMS. Colgate-Palmolive Philippines. Mayora, Vono Trade and Marketing Services Corporation. Monde Nissin. Mondelez International. Nestle. Procter & Gamble. Unilever. And Universal Robina Corporation. We'd also like to thank Inquirer.net, Mega Mobile, and Inquirer Academy.